Hey, NDSS, had a great time presenting to you. You know what? I'm now going to answer questions that we couldn't get to in the live event now. So let's have a look at some of them. If my nudes get leaked, do I get into trouble by the school? I think I kind of answered this in the last one. We're going to be coming back to your school and doing a virtual event on called Cyberbullying, Sexting, Nudes, Intimate Images in the Law. We're going to be talking about that in greater detail. So the answer is probably not. If it's your nudes that were sent in a private consensual relationship and they're leaked publicly, you're not the one who's going to be arrested or charged. It's going to be the person who actually took those nudes and then sent them out publicly. They're the ones breaking the law. The law is there to protect people like you. It's to go after people who are breaching privacy and the law by distributing outside of a relationship. Again, we're going to get into much more detail in another program I'm going to be doing live with your school on that topic. Next question. Do iPhones have cameras the government can look through? The answer is no. However, when it comes to cameras, here's what we do recommend. On laptops, when you're not using them, cover or close your laptop put a little Band-Aid. Don't put yellow paper or tape over your camera because it puts a little goo on there, right? Like, just get a little Band-Aid like the one you get if you get a needle, a little round one, put it over the webcam when you're not using it. When you do, take it off. And the reason is there's these things called remote access Trojans. They're called RATs. I talked about it earlier in the presentation, which allows people to take full control of your webcams without you knowing. Not only can they turn it on and turn it off, but that little LED light that comes on, let you know that the camera's on, they can program it so it doesn't come on. So that's why covering the camera on your laptops or desktops. In fact, on our two MacBook Pros here, we got little sliders that do it for us. So on your cameras, on your phones, not really an issue at this point in time. But if you're that concerned, turn it so that the front camera is facing down if that's a concern for you. Next one. Do phones record everything you say? No, they don't. No, they don't. But the other person on the other line could be without you knowing they're recording it. That's the issue, right? Next one. Is it illegal to ask someone who is underage for an inappropriate picture? Yeah, it can be. Again, we're going to be talking about that in the cyberbullying, sexting, nudes, intimate images in the law, where if you are receiving unsolicited requests for send me a nude, send me a nude, send me a nude, it can be illegal. And there have been teens who have been arrested and dealt with accordingly. And again, we're going to be talking about that in much greater detail in the program I'm going to be doing with your school. I think it's either later this week or next week, if I'm not mistaken. So, next one. We actually have a tool that we're going to give you to help prevent that from happening as well. Is it easy to learn coding? How long does it take on average? Yeah, it is. It's like learning any other language, right? It takes some time, it takes an effort. And there's some young people and adults that take to it like a fish to water, right? Like boom, they're in it. So it just depends upon the individual, but it's not as hard as what people think it is anymore. And so there's a variety of different coding programs out there. So if you're interested in coding and you're looking for a reputable coding program, connect with us offline, right? Connect with us via our Instagram account. You can even send us an email, which is on our website, which is www.thewhitehatter.ca. And I'd be more than happy to send you links to reputable coding programs here in Canada that we recommend as the Whitehatter. Next one. If you have your Snapchat location on for only like 3 people, is it possible for other people to hack and track you? No. So we're talking about Snap Maps, right? So Snap Maps, as long as you got it to friends only, or if you have it in ghost mode, nobody can. If you have it for friends only, as long as you know who those friends are, you've met them face to face, you're okay. One of the problems with Snap Maps is that a lot of people have so many friends, you really don't know who they are, right? So the person may be saying they're 16 when in fact they're that 45-year-old male from Russia who's 500 pounds with no front teeth, right? So you got to be careful. How long have you been a Whitehatter? Our company's been around now, like I said, for 29 years, but we've been teaching internet safety, social media safety, and digital literacy for about the past 10 years now, but really, really dedicated for the past 8 years. Why do you choose this as a job? Well, I was in law enforcement for 30 years, then I retired. And, a couple of reasons. Number one, because of Brandon, right? Brandon became really interested. He's a millennial, right? So he's the first generation of young people who started living in today's online world. And he showed a real interest in it, which meant I had some interest. And then when I was in law enforcement, we were starting to get having to deal with a lot of the crime that was taking place online. So that's how I became interested in it. And then, I believe that knowledge and the understanding and application of that knowledge is power. So one of the things that we love to do is we love to share open and honest information based upon good academic peer-reviewed research to young people, because we believe the more open and honest we are with you about technology and about issues, the more likely it is you're going to make an educated decision before you hit that send button. So, it's about reducing harm, right? To me, that's, when I was in policing, even when I was in policing, it wasn't always about arrest. It was about trying to reduce harm to individuals, right? So, can people see everything? Maybe not everything, but it is amazing how much the internet knows about you. So again, just last night, I finished a full digital dossier report for a teacher at a high school for his grade 10 class. He hired us to do a full background check on him so he could show his class what the internet actually knew about him. And when he saw the document, his jaw hit the ground. He just couldn't believe what the internet, he thought he was doing pretty good about protecting his information, but it was amazing how much information's out there that if you know where to look and how to look, you can find it. So that's why I say to all of you that, increasing your privacy by, using proper, the Brave browser, the Firefox browser, using Proton email or DuckDuckGo and combining it all with a VPN helps to minimize the amount of information that the internet knows about you. Next one. What's the safest way to save a password? If you're using an iProduct, using the Apple chain is a really good way to do it. But I still think that using a password locker like LastPass, LASTPASS, I think is one of the best ways to do it. It's what we use here at the Whitehatter. Next one. What would someone have to do to access someone's Snapchat? Who has that power? Law enforcement. So if law enforcement needs to get in by way of warrant, they can get a production order, and as a result of that, they can get into your Snapchat account. Can hackers get in there? Depends upon if they put a rat into your computer or into your device that will allow them to see what it is that you're doing. But it's pretty hard, right? But law enforcement can do that. Is Discord bad? No, it's like I said, it's not the app, it's not the social network, it's how people use the app or social network that makes it bad. Can Discord channels be inappropriate, less than desirable, adult-oriented, and things that students and young people shouldn't be going to? Yeah, but there's some other Discord channels that are absolutely spectacular, and seeing what young people are doing on those channels, right? So it's like anything. It's not how the app or social networks, it's not the social network is bad, it's what people are doing and how they're using it that can make it bad, is my answer to that question. Is it true that Alexa Home listens to everything you say? Yeah, we've spoken about this on our live show that Brandon and I do every Tuesday. Brandon and I, on our YouTube show, we talk about safety, security, and privacy issues from the week before. We've done several segments on this issue where the research shows us that, yeah, you know what? Alexa listens to the command word. However, it was disclosed not too long ago that as Alexa was being developed, the people at Amazon could still hear what was going on in the background. I mean, at this point in time, do we have an Alexa in our home? No, we don't. I'm still a little concerned about that, but it's just one of those things. Can my parents see my Safari search history? Yeah, they can, if they know how. Yeah. They certainly can. Even if you're using incognito mode or private viewing, there's still an ability to do that if they know how. That's why I say that's why I keep emphasizing, just understand that whatever you do online, just understand that once you hit that send button or enter button, what you're posting or doing can become public, permanent, searchable, exploitable, copyable, shareable, and for sale, right? What do you do if you post a picture and regret posting it? Can you do something about it, or are you done for? It depends upon what the picture is, right? So the answer is, like right now, Google, if you're under the age of 18, you can now make application to Google to have any picture that is being posted that you don't want there unindexed off of Google, which is kind of cool. Because, we all, when we're growing, like things I did when I was in high school, like I'm so thankful because I did a lot of really dumb and stupid things when I was in high school, just being honest with all of you, right? And so, like, it's a part of growing up. So, but the difference is a lot of it is caught online, right? So now, if you're under the age of 18, you can make an application to Google to have it de-indexed. But you got to make sure wherever the picture was posted, you get it off of there as well. Because if you don't, Google will just, they'll spider it. They'll go in and then they'll index it again. It'll show up again. So you got to be careful. But there are things you can do, especially when it comes to nudes as well. And we'll be talking about that in the session I'm doing for school on cyberbullying, sexting, and nudes. Where does the danger in pirating come in? The downloading of files or the sending? Both. It comes in both. Next one. Is it screen capture or screenshot? It's interchangeable, right? Some people say screen capture, some people say screenshot, so it's interchangeable. How secure is our Dropbox or Google Drive? Fairly secure. Just understand that anything you're putting into a Google product, however, Google is scanning it. They're having a look at it, seeing what's going on, because that's what Google does. I mean, that's how they make their money. Can the internet provider know what you're searched on incognito mode? If you actually go to what it is you're searching, then the answer is yes. Also understand that although you're using incognito mode on your computer, on your device, your computer is still recording what it is you're doing on certain files within. So in policing, we have forensic investigators who are able to locate stuff like that. Even though you got incognito working, there's still other areas in the computer that are recording where you're going and what you're doing with your computer. And as a result of that, they can access that information. Can you see what students post in My Eyes Only? I can't. However, again, remember, that picture of the 6 high school girls wearing the green shirts, spelling out that word started with an N. That picture was sent and stored in a For My Eyes Only, and it became public. Also understand that the people who were fired from Snapchat were fired because they were also screen capturing things that you guys were doing in Snapchat and then selling them online, right? Do you have to report a person if you see that they're at risk of themselves? For the adults, teachers, educators, the answer is yes. By law, you need to do that. For teens, a little bit of a gray area, but what I do say for teens is, hey, listen, if you believe, if you honestly, and I'll be talking about this in the cyberbullying presentation I'm going to be doing, but if you honestly believe that a young person is going to harm themselves or at risk of harming themselves, you got to bring it to the attention of an adult, because, what happens if they do? And worst case scenario, what happens if they take their life by suicide? How are you going to feel if that happens, knowing that you potentially could have stopped it by bringing it to the attention of an adult? And although it's the hardest thing to do, a really good example, we've helped a number of teens who was their best friend. They were really afraid that by going, their best friend wouldn't like them anymore. And I said, well, guess what? They may not like you at the time, but trust me when I say, when they get themselves the help that they need and find themselves in a better place, they're going to come back and thank you, right? And in fact, that we've seen that happen where friends have come back and said, you know what? I was really mad that you'd let somebody know, like my parents or a school counselor, that I was self-harming myself, cutting myself, or, that I was talking about suicide, but I'm so happy you did, because you actually cared about me. I didn't know it then, but I understand it now that you actually cared about me, and thank you, right? Like, we've had that happen a number of times. Next one. Who else has access to geofencing? There's a variety of different programs out there, right? There's some free versions, but there's paid versions as well. The free versions don't give you as much information as the paid ones, but there's free geofencing that you can do. Good example, Twitter. Twitter has the ability where you can plug in longitude and latitudes, and then you can plug in a 5, 10, 20 kilometer radius, and it'll show you any kind of tweets that took place within that radius. Do colleges look through personal messages like on apps like Discord and Instagram? No, but if those, because usually when you're messaging people on messaging platforms, they're usually encrypted by default. However, what you need to understand is that whatever you're sending on messaging, if the other person is screen capturing it and then post it publicly, well then yes, then colleges, universities could see that. And you would be amazed at how many times that happens, right? Where you thought you were communicating with a friend, they truly turned out to be a frenemy, and they were collecting and screen capturing this stuff and then just holding it back, and then at some point in time they post it publicly and weaponize it. Well, once they post it publicly, well then anybody can see it, including colleges, universities, or employers. Is modding a game safe? Well, relatively, right? The more mods you have in a Discord channel or a gaming channel, the more likely it is you're going to be able to stop bad things and toxic behavior from taking place. If someone needs your help, is it confidential? The answer is, it depends. In most cases it is, but I have to be honest with you. If I'm in fear, if I fear, or if I honestly believe that that young person is going to harm themselves, then I have a duty as an individual, as an adult, to get that person the help that they need, right? In most cases, I've had to do that very rare, because even in most cases, when somebody comes to me for help, I'm able, through communication and talking to them, I'm able to get them to basically say, okay, we need to go forward to somebody and bring this to their attention. There's only been less than a handful of cases where I was so concerned and that person didn't want to get the help that they needed, that I was so concerned about their health and well-being and their life, basically, that I had to take action without their consent. But that's very rare. Just being honest, right? Just being honest. What are your thoughts on Omegle? Yeah. You know, the number of young people and adults who I've helped because they were capped in Omegle, sexually extorted because of Omegle, is significant. So Omegle, I mean, the byline to Omegle is come talk to a stranger, right? So, I mean, Omegle became popular again last year because of TikTok, right? And every so often you can come across some, you know, stars, you know, people that you follow, like influencers and everything. But the amount of nudity and to be quite honest, dick pics that I see going on there is unbelievable. So because of that, it's not really a site that I recommend to teens, right? Is the vid gonna be somewhere? I need to show it to my mom. She thinks that everything internet is bad. Yeah, unfortunately, this video is just for you. However, if you tell your mom to go to our website, which is www.thewhitehatter.ca, and go to our video on demands, we actually have one there for parents that basically talks a lot about what we mentioned in today's presentation. Because I would agree with you. I think there's too much what's known in academia, we call it juvenoia or moral panic out there, where everybody thinks that the internet bad. No. There's far more positive stuff. There's far more things that young people are doing online that is positive than there are negative. However, there are some consequences. There are some less than desirable things that can happen with social media apps and the internet that we all have to be aware of as well, right? So, but yeah, just have her go to our website, www.thewhitehatter.ca, and go to our video on demands, and she can find a video on demand that we did there for parents. It's like a rental. You have to rent it kind of thing, so pretty cheap. If you encounter a bad person online, is there some sort of website where you can report them? It depends. Most of the internet service providers, most of the social networks, they allow you to report people immediately. So screen capture everything. If you think it's a crime in any way, screen capture it big time, screenshot it, screen capture whatever it is you're doing. And then if you need to, report that to the police, because now you have the evidence to support what it is that you saw. But a lot of websites, if you're dealing with inappropriate behavior that is in clear violation of their terms of service, once you report it to them, often they will take action, some quicker than others, and they're getting better at it, right? Like I'll be honest with you, 5 years ago, they weren't doing anything about it, but because there's so much pressure on them now by governments around the world, that they're actually now starting to take effort to deal with some of this toxicity that we see taking place online. So that's it. Those are some of the top rated questions that came from NDSS today. I mean, you guys were unbelievable. I mean, when I looked at the screen, looking at the number of questions that were popping up, I'm going, there's no way we're going to get to all of these in the live presentation. So that's why we do this, right? So again, I want to thank NDSS. There's your confetti. There's your applause, right? For bringing us in. Had a really good time sharing our information with you, and I hope I answered as many as the questions I could. So again, on behalf of the Whitehatter team, thank you, everybody. Bye.